Today we're going to talk about parallelograms. So a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with two pairs of parallel sides. So as we can see, QR and PS, those are parallel, and RS and QP are also parallel. So we would write QR is parallel to PS and QP is parallel to RS. So these are properties of a parallelogram. Opposite sides are congruent. So QR equals PS and QP equals RS. And you can see that's denoted with these lines. So you can see then that means that this side and this side are equal, and so are these. Opposite angles are congruent. So angle Q is congruent to angle S. And you can see that's this angle here and this angle right here. And angle P is congruent to angle R. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So remember, that means they add up to 180 degrees. So angle Q plus angle R equals 180 degrees. We could say angle R and P. So angle R plus angle P equals 180 degrees. Sorry, I wrote R and P. I meant to write R and S. So R and S, because those are consecutive. Consecutive means right next to each other. So QR, RS, SP equals 180 degrees, and PQ. So again, that would be these two, these two, these two, and these two. So then the diagonals bisect, which means cut in half. Each other. So that means QM equals MS and PM equals MR. So those are the properties of the parallelogram. So let's do an example. It says, find the indicated measure in the parallelogram shown. So here we have parallelogram HIJK. So for this, we want to find HI. So HI would be this distance here. So HI, we know, is equal to the one that it's parallel to, which is KJ. So that means that this is equal to 16. So we have 16 here. Then KH, so KH we know is parallel to IJ, so therefore this is equal to 10. The next one is GH, so G to H is this length right here. So if we know that this length here is 8, remember we just stated that those lengths by diagonals bisect each other. So therefore, that means that this length has to be 8. So this would be equal to 8. J is now the total length from the diagonal. So to find that, you just add 8 plus 8, which is 16. Then we have the measure of angle JIH. So J to I to H would be this angle measurement right here. So we know that, again, up here, that consecutive angles are supplementary. So if we know that this angle right here is 84 degrees, then 180 minus that will give us that angle JIH. So 180 degrees minus 84 degrees, which equals 96 degrees. And then we want to find the measure of KJI. So K to J to I would be here. So we know that we talked up here that opposite angles are congruent. So we know that that is congruent to 84. So this is equal to 84 degrees. Could you also use the fact that we just found this angle measurement over here as 96 degrees and then do 180 minus that? Sure, because we know that the supplementary consecutive angles are supplementary. That would be fine too. So then the next one we want is measure of angle HKI. So H to K to I is this angle here. So we know that the angle across it is 96 degrees. So you can use that if you want. And so 96 minus 28, which gives us 68 degrees, would work. Or you could use the fact that you know these angles have to be supplementary. So you could do also 180 degrees minus 84 degrees minus 28 degrees, which equals 68 degrees. Either way, it's fine. All right, so for the next examples, it says, find the value of all the variables in each diagram, show your work. So for question number 9, we know that this side length has to be equal to this side length. So B plus 2 equals 7. So that means, of course, B is equal to 5. And this side length has to be equal to this side length. So A minus 3 has to be equal to 14. So A is equal to 17. Looking at question number 10. So for this one, we know that opposite angles have to be congruent. So 2P is equal to 124 degrees. So divided by 2, we get P is equal to 62 degrees. And then, of course, these sides have to be equal. So we have 49 equals 5Q plus 4. So subtract the 4, we get 45 equals 5Q, divide by 5, and Q equals 9. And then for the next one, we're going to use the fact that we know that these angles bisect each other from the diagonals. So those two sides are lengths are equal, and this is equal. So all we do is set 4J plus 9 equals 6J minus 5. So when we solve, I'm going to subtract the 4J first, and then add the 5. So J equals 7. And then we're going to do the other one, which is 31 is equal to 7K minus 4. So add the 4, we get 35 equals 7K, divide by 7, and K equals 5. All right. So there are 3 special types of parallelograms, which are shown below. We have a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square. In order for a parallelogram to be a rhombus, all 4 sides must be congruent. In order for a parallelogram to be a rectangle, all four angles must be 90 degrees, which remember are right angles. And in order for a parallelogram to be a square, you have to have four congruent sides and four 90-degree angles. And note that a square is both a rectangle and a rhombus because it satisfies those two conditions for a rectangle and for a rhombus. So special properties for the diagonals of a rhombus and a square. In a rhombus or a square, the diagonals are perpendicular, which means they form right angles in the center. So here. And in a rhombus or square, the diagonals bisect the opposite angles. So angle DAC is congruent to angle BAC. So DAC, which is right there, is congruent to BAC, which is also congruent to DCA. So that's also congruent to angle DCA, which is also congruent to angle, I'm running out of room here, BCA. And then we can do the same thing for these angles here and here. So angle ADB is congruent to angle CDB, which is congruent to angle CBD, which is congruent to angle DBA. And you can see from how many lines we have that those are congruent. So it says rhombus. Use rhombus ABCD to answer the following questions. So AD is 20x plus 10. Right this way. Which we know all of the sides are congruent. And DC is 30x minus 20. So we want to find what x is and the actual length of AD. So we set them equal to each other since we know that all the sides are equal. So 20x plus 10 equals 30x minus 20. So I'm going to subtract the 20x. So I get 10 is equal to 10x minus 20. Add the 20, we would get 30 equals 10x. Divide by 10. So x is equal to 3. And now we want to figure out the length of AD by plugging in 3 for x. So 20 times 3 plus 10 gives us 60 plus 10, which gives us 70. So AD's length is equal to 70. The next one says angle DAB, so D to A to B would be this angle here, is 126 degrees. Find BAC, so we want to find this angle right here. So we know that the diagonals are bisecting each other. So if that's 126 degrees, that means the measure of angle BAC is equal to 126 divided by 2, which is 63 degrees. And then it says if AH, so AH is equal to 6 and BH is equal to 8, we want to find the perimeter of ABCD. So remember that these make right angles here. So that means that this would be a right triangle here. And of course, we want to find the perimeter, which is the outside length added up. So across from the right angle is length side AB. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem. So again, I'm just going to write down angle AHB is 90 degrees. So AHB is a right triangle. So that means by the Pythagorean theorem, 6 squared plus 8 squared equals, I'll call it AB squared. So 36 plus 64 equals AB squared. So 100 equals AB squared. So remember, when we take the square root, we do plus or minus, but we're talking about a length here. So we don't need plus or minus. We're just going to say that 10 is equal to AB. So for that, then the perimeter is adding up all the side lengths. So that would be 4 of the same side lengths times 10, or you could do 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. Same thing, is equal to 40. All right. Special property for the diagonals of a rectangle and a square. In a rectangle or square, the diagonals are congruent. So AC is congruent to DB. And because the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, AM is congruent to BM, which is congruent to CM, which is congruent to DM. Okay, so we're going to use rectangle LMNO to answer the following questions. So given angle NMP, so that's this angle right here, is 33 degrees, find LMO, which would be this angle right here is what we're looking for. So remember, because this is a rectangle, we know this is 90 degrees. So the measure of angle LMO equals 90 degrees minus 33 degrees, which is 57 degrees. So for the next one, let's go ahead and I'm going to change this to, instead of 28, so let's do 25 and LM7. So given LN, so LN, this distance here, is 25, and LM, which is this distance here, is 7. We want to find the perimeter of LM and O. So since that's a right triangle right here, we can solve for length MN using the Pythagorean theorem. So 7 squared plus mn squared equals the hypotenuse, which is 25 squared. So then 49 plus mn squared equals 625. Subtract 49. Mn squared is equal to 576. Take the square root of both sides. We get mn equals 24. And remember, it's plus or minus the square root because we don't have a negative length. We don't need the negative, but that's not our answer because it's asking us to find the perimeter. So the perimeter is equal to 24. That's this side length, and this side length would also be 24. So 24 plus 24 plus 7 plus 7, which is equal to 62. So that is our answer for this problem. Erase this here. All right, angle LN is equal to 2x plus 10. Sorry, not angle LN, angle N. So we're saying this is equal to 2x plus 10. I want to find x, so we know that 2x plus 10 has to be equal to 90 degrees because it's a rectangle. So subtract the 10. 2x is equal to 80, divide by 2, x is equal to 40 degrees. All right, looking at the next one. We have if mn equals 5x plus 15, so we're saying mn is 5x plus 15, and LO equals 3x plus 45. Find x and mn. So we know those two side lengths have to be equal to each other. So 5x plus 15 has to be equal to 3x plus 45. So subtract 3x. 2x plus 15 equals 45. And then we're going to subtract the 15. So 2x equals 30. So divide by 2. And x is equal to 15. So that means that mn is equal to 5 times 15 plus, what was it, 15. So mn is equal to 90 for the length. All right, so let me erase this. If MO equals, now that's this length, 8x plus 10, and LO, which is here, is 3x plus 60. Find x and ln. I think that was a typo. I think that was supposed to be LP. So I need to fix that. First, let's do LP. So LP equals 3x plus 60. Okay, so we know that these lengths are all equal to each other. So what we could do, since we know those lengths are all equal to each other, this is also 3x plus 60 over here. So you have two of them. So you really have 3x plus 60, and 3x plus 60 equals 8x plus 10. So when we solve, we're going to do 8x plus 10 equals 2 times 3x plus 60. So that gives us 8x plus 10 equals, distribute the 2, so 6x plus 120. Subtract 6x, that gives us 2x plus 10 equals 120. Subtract the 10, 2x is equal to 110. Divide by 2, and x equals 55. And ln equals 2 times LP. So ln equals 2 times 3 times 55, because that's x, and then plus 60. So that gives us ln, because we want that whole distance, not just the 1. That's why we multiplied it by the 2, is equal to 450. All right, so it says use square w, x, y, z to answer the following questions. So w angle is, we're saying 3x plus 20, and we know this makes 90 degrees. So 3x plus 20 equals 90 degrees. 3x equals 70, so x equals 70 divided by 3. And then it says wx is 5x plus 15. And xy is 4x plus 20. We want to find the perimeter, so we know all the sides are equal because it's a square. So 5x plus 15 equals 4x plus 20. So subtract the 4x to the other side, and we get x plus 15 equals 20. Subtract the 15, and we get x equals 5. So xy would be equal to 4 times 5, which is 20, plus 20, which gives us 40. So the perimeter is equal to 4, because we have 4 sides, times 40, because that's the side length, which is 160. And that's all for today.